Good afternoon, this is Sean Golden with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of what to do with that uncomfortable feeling of knowing that you have some foreign bank and financial accounts that you never reported to the IRS. Do you report? Do you quietly disclose? Do you do amnesty? Or do you just close the account, bury your head in the sand, hope it all goes away? All right, so foreign bank and financial account reporting 101, right? You're a U.S. person, which means you're a U.S. citizen. You're a legal permanent resident. You are a foreign national who meets a substantial presence test. If you're in any one of these categories, then the baseline perspective is that you have to report. You have to report your foreign bank accounts, your investment accounts, other assets. Now, there are many different forms that you may have to file it on. Some of the more common forms are the FBAR Foreign Bank and Financial Account Reporting, otherwise known as FinCEN Form 114. You may have FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, Form 8938, depending on whether you have certain foreign investments or holding companies, BVIs, foreign mutual funds, CCOVs, things like that. You may also have a Form 8621 filing requirement. There are different threshold requirements for these forms depending on which category of asset you have. Some of them have different filing requirements, extensions and due dates will vary on the different forms, so it's important that you have an idea of what you have so you can determine what needs to be reported and so you can determine what the threshold requirement is for reporting and when that reporting is due. Very common situation we deal with here. Michael is out with his buddies one night and someone asks him whether he filed his FBAR yet, and Michael looks at his friend dazed and confused and realizes that he has no idea what the FBAR is. So he tries to play cool for the rest of the night. When he's out, he gets home, first thing he does is he jumps online, starts Googling FBAR. 3 drinks later, 5 hours later, one rabbit hole after the next, Michael is staring at the computer trying to figure out what to do. Attorneys are telling him he should do amnesty. CPAs and other tax professionals may be telling him he should just do a quiet disclosure. Expat forums are telling him to expatriate and leave the country. There's a lot of information online. So Michael has to decide what he wants to do. Non-reporting, if you catch it early enough and you properly get into compliance with one of the amnesty programs, is not normally that bad, especially if you're non-willful. You may qualify for a much reduced penalty under streamlined domestic. You may qualify for a penalty waiver if you qualify for streamlined foreign. Reasonable cause and delinquency procedures also seek to waive the penalties. The penalties are nothing like you read about under these programs. It's not $500,000 and 5 years in prison. Much reduced penalty. Enforcement is on the rise. The IRS has been issuing much more penalty notices, CP15 notices and things like that. So you should really consider amnesty as your way. But let's say you don't want to, right? These attorneys have no idea what they're talking about. I'm just going to bury my head in the sand. I'm going to start reporting now going forward, or I'm just going to close the account, right? That's the knee-jerk reaction. I'm just going to close the account. But there's a lot of problems with that knee-jerk reaction. Let's go through some of the major ones. One, if you close the account and you don't report, then you're committing a form of fraud because you're doing an intentional omission. That means that instead of going back and remedying the prior years, you're just filing in the present year and going forward and not including that old information. That's considered a form of quiet disclosure, and it's illegal. The second thing is you don't know if the foreign financial institution already reported you to the IRS, okay? So let's say you're at a bank, that bank reported you to the IRS, but they haven't done anything with that information yet. A few years down the line, you're audited for some other reason. Maybe you have your own business, maybe you started a consulting firm and you're under audit. And they look at your Schedule B and they see that you've been knocking off, no, I don't have foreign accounts for the last 5 or 10 years, whereas you had a foreign account or multiple accounts, and those accounts might have even been active. So the IRS will see on the one hand that you've had these active accounts, on the other hand, you're proactively putting no for Schedule B. And how it becomes a major problem is the following. Let's say that this individual, Michael, right, he's audited and he's under audit. Now the auditor, when reviewing the file, sees that he had the foreign accounts. Why? Because the foreign institution already reported Michael to the IRS. Now, the IRS didn't do anything with that information because oftentimes they just sit on that information until an audit investigation, something like that, comes up. So now Michael's under audit and he's in what's called the reverse eggshell audit. Why is it called reverse eggshell? Because the IRS has information about Michael's foreign accounts that Michael doesn't know that they have. So then they ask Michael maybe they put one of these agents on that has a little more background, and they kind of smoothly go through. Oh, I'm looking at your tax return. I see Schedule B, no foreign accounts, right? And Mike goes, yeah, no foreign accounts, and the audit just goes on, and then the audit ends. A lot of times, what will happen from that situation is the auditor will then kind of cut the audit short because he's caught Michael in a lie, right? And an intentional misrepresentation gave Michael the chance to step back, step over, and fix it, but instead Michael went deeper in. So now, as a result, that case may be transferred to the special agents. The special agents will conduct their own investigation, and that very well could lead to willful penalties and even a criminal investigation and indictment, a criminal complaint being filed. Granted, criminal cases don't happen that often. You got to be careful of the fear-mongering stuff. But that road is a road that has become more traveled lately. Taxpayer had the accounts. Taxpayer becomes aware that he's supposed to report. Taxpayer knowingly doesn't report. Foreign institution updates the IRS in accordance with the automatic exchange of information procedures. That person then gets audited, but doesn't update the IRS during the audit. So it goes kind of deeper in the hole. If you just learned about the reporting, one of the best ways to get into compliance is through the Amnesty programs. There's various programs available. We have lots of free information available on our main website, goldinglawyers.com. You can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.